Hello, everybody. Sorry. Hello, everybody. This is Mara Driscoll from Texas, and I thought I would take our instructor's advice. Since I was already late doing my discussion, I thought I'd go ahead and go for the gusto and do a small PowerPoint presentation on why I am pro rubrics, especially when they're analytic, or now my new favorite one is the single point or the love child. So here we go. Let me explain to you why I like rubrics. First of all, I'm pro rubric because it allows graders, either me or my TA, to reward or give the students the credit for the work that they've actually done according to the instructions or the criteria of the rubric. So it oftentimes I think that students don't get to realize what they do right, because so oftentimes anytime an instructor marks on their paper, what they're marking is usually what they did wrong. So I think a rubric lets them know, hey, you're doing this section really well. Also, students are allowed access, if their students are allowed access to the rubrics before, during, and hopefully even after the assignment, they can actually self-grade. How many times have we all heard as teachers that the students need to do a lot of self-evaluation and a lot of self reflection on their, especially when it's a writing assignment. So I really think that this can be a valuable tool to guide them actually during the writing process. So I also really tend to use analytical rubrics, and I have a tendency to make my rubrics very specific, meaning that they're factual. There's no room for favoritism, and there's no room for my bad mood to affect the student's grade. And even the students that I don't think are really nice people, it doesn't matter because the rubric keeps me on an even keel whenever I grade. It also gives students feedback on the different components of the individual assignment. Each assignment is comprised of different things that all instructors look for. Did they follow the instructions? Is the format correct? Is the spacing right? Do they have a thesis sentence and supporting details and a conclusion? Are they doing their references correctly? It gives them deliberate, targeted feedback, whether it's positive or negative. So that's always a good thing. So I am typically a user of analytical rubrics, and here's an example from my class this semester. I have this student who, you'll notice I'm using turnitin.com as my grading platform, so I can not only I can highlight and then embed a thing called quick marks, but then also the rubric is interactive. And you'll see here that I am very deliberate, especially when it comes to mechanics. My screenshot didn't get the criteria over here on the left, but I'm very deliberate on the mechanical errors because I want them to start seeing where their patterns are. So that's the type of rubric that I use, and I really feel like for a thoughtful, reflective student, not only embedding comments on their paper, then it also translates over to the rubric so they know exactly what they did great and what they need to work on. Okay, and then the thing that blew my mind about this week's assignment is the single point or the love child rubric. So what my typical rubric looks like is this. It is split into some criteria and then the scales. And what that would do for me and for my students is it would set the bar. And so I could get rid of all this other stuff on the side and tell them and communicate to the student, this is where you must be in order to get any type of credit. So I would have to change these point values, but I really think that this is a unique way of presenting feedback for the students, setting a bar or a level of expertise that the students must get to, especially in senior level college. So I'm anti-sliding scale, and let me tell you why. And I'll demonstrate what I mean by a sliding scale in just a second. I believe that it leaves room for favoritism or bad mood grading, which I never want to do as an instructor. It keeps the students in the dark on what is really meeting, exceeding, or missing the criteria requirements. And maybe I'm just too much of a linear thinker, But I never want the student to go, well, why didn't I get full points when it looks like to me that I did everything you asked me to do. So I really feel like it unlevels the playing field for the student, and I believe that that's what rubrics do for our students, is it starts everybody out at the same place, and that's what I think education should be. So in other words, like this is my another example of my analytical rubric, and you'll notice I do not do a sliding scale. You either get the points or you don't, but a sliding scale would add a range. So exemplary could range from 45 to 50. Well, I just feel like that's still too nebulous for the students. So I am pro rubric. I hope that everyone uses rubrics. I find that they're the most fair and easy way to grade students and to communicate without having to do a lot of conversation. It's always there. It's always attached to their assignment, so they can always go back and see what are they consistently doing right, which is really what I want them to focus on, and then what are the things that they are consistently needing to work on. So my reference for the love of rubrics is right here, and thank you so much. And I apologize. I mean no disrespect to my cohorts in this class for being so late in doing this discussion. Thank you so much. Y'all have a fabulous evening. Bye bye.